Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Padawan Podcast, brought to you by Apocalypse Movies. I am Jake Berlin, your host, a.k.a. Qui-Gon Jake. I am included today by my fellow rebel scum, Gio Ramos and Jacob Bartley. How's it going, fellas?
Greetings. This is C3GO, Human Cyborg Relations. What's happening? I love Star Wars, man. I watched Star Wars last 2 weeks.
As we all do. Jacob, how's it going, man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm Grand Moff Bartley, by the way.
All right, so welcome back to the Padawan Podcast. If you caught our last episode last week, we are now on to the road to The Force Awakens. And our second episode of reviewing all Star Wars movies. Today we're going to be talking about Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and Episode 4, A New Hope. So we're going to get right into it. We're going to review the films. We're going to talk about the positives and negatives, overall thoughts, and our first encounter with the films all those years ago.
It's kind of funny how we're doing a prequel movie and
we've been looking forward to this. It's probably our favorite one.
Original trilogy, because it's cool to look at that jump. You know?
Yeah, so we're going to start. I'm going to start with you, Jacob, with Revenge of the Sith. What was your first memory of watching the film? Did you watch it in theaters, and what was your first reaction to the movie?
It's weird because I remember, like I told you guys last time, I remember going to the theater to watch the first two. I don't remember going to the theater to watch Revenge of the Sith. It just must have slipped my mind. I think there were some other things going on, but I remember really enjoying it, like back then. And the big thing was the Mustafar, like the whole thing on Mustafar, the last like 30, 45 minutes on Mustafar. Mm-hmm. So that was like the biggest thing I remember. But no, I enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed the first two prequels. I absolutely loved it when I was a kid. Back then I didn't know it, but typically it's considered the best of the prequels among most people. It's weird. I have less memories of this movie than the other two, but
it's strange because it's the last released Star Wars movie.
I was the oldest when this movie came out, so I don't remember. I remember sitting on the couch and watching it at home, but I don't remember going to. Maybe I didn't go to theaters to watch it. I don't know, but I just remember loving the dialogue between Obi-Wan and Anakin.
The relationship's great.
And I remember, and I always remember the scene when Anakin cuts off
Mace Windu's
hand, and then the Emperor kills him. Like that, those two things stuck with me the most, and I thought it made me I don't want to say fear Anakin, but it was just like whoa, he killed Mace Windu, or he helped the Emperor kill Mace Windu. That's crazy, but
one at the time, I don't know if we realized that he was going to be Darth Vader at the moment, because we were younger, we didn't really realize.
Well, I knew.
Well, yeah, but it didn't really hit you until that moment.
I know what you mean. We didn't see him as a bad guy.
Yeah.
Until that moment. So I get what you're saying, but I knew from the first movie that was young Darth Vader. But I get what you're saying. We didn't see him as Darth Vader. We only saw him as Anakin.
Yes.
At that point. So it was a shock to us. Oh my God, our hero, who they're trying to present this to us as our hero, is turning bad now. So it was such a big, significant moment in all the Star Wars movies. That was his turn right there.
Well, and the way it went down with all the younglings,
he killed the Jedi Master,
like the Jedi Temple, and all that kind of stuff.
It's a very dark film.
That
very
dark. 45-minute sequence, extremely dark.
Darker than Empire, I think.
Nah, I wouldn't go that far.
It's the first.
We're not seeing kids slaughtered.
That's very true. That's very true.
It's the first Star Wars movie to be rated PG-13.
Yeah.
The first two are PG?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All of them are except for Revenge of the Sith. Force Awakens got a PG-13 rating too, but
that makes sense though.
But it's the only one that got a PG-13 rating.
Yeah. So no, I mean, it's weird. Like I said, I don't have as many memories of this movie, but I remember loving it just as much as the other two.
Yeah. Opposite of you. This is actually the only one I remember seeing in theaters.
Yeah, that's so weird. I don't know why.
I don't remember seeing episode 1 or episode 2 in theaters, but I remember going to my hometown theater with my dad, and we sat down and watched it. I remember the screening and everything. And, as a kid, obviously it's got a nostalgia factor. I loved it. It's still, to this day, my favorite prequel. Great movie. A lot of fun. A lot of dark moments, too. Like you had mentioned, the Mustafar. I can quote that entire scene from word to word all the way from beginning to end. It's weird. I can still do it to this day. The Obi-Wan and Anakin relationship is great. a lot of it's like the opening scene too. I love the opening scene with the Jedi fighters and going in to get Count Dooku and everything. It's really cool. So it definitely holds a special place to me just because it's the only Star Wars movie I've ever seen in theaters that I remember. So that's got some kind of special place for me. But Gio, what about you? I mean, do you remember seeing it in theaters? And what was your first reaction to the movie?
You know, for all this movie's problems and imperfections, it's still the episode that I'm most attached to. Ever since coming out of Attack of the Clones,
Even more than the original trilogy, or you just mean the prequels?
For the prequels.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, I might even say for the original trilogy because this is the trilogy that we grew up on. You know,
that makes sense.
And so as soon as I came out of Attack of the Clones, for the next 3 years, all I could think about was this movie because you know it's the movie that we've all been waiting for. I remember waiting as a kid. I was 14 years old, and I was just every day I would spend, well, not every day, but like most days I would spend looking online for the next latest update, whether it was a photo, whether it was, you know, a teaser trailer, a poster. And I remember when this poster came out, how freaked out I got, just how excited I got of seeing Anakin Skywalker and the cape with the Darth Vader mask.
Yeah.
So amazing. I think this is the film that actually started my days of looking online for movie updates, you know. I mean, I didn't, you know, IGN back there.
Small question really quick.
Yeah.
When did he get that scar? Because I was watching Clone Wars last night, and I was wondering that.
On his face?
Yeah.
I think it was during Clone Wars.
No,
Or did it happen?
It must have been in between the movies.
Did it happen?
And they didn't show us how he got it, right?
But there were books back then. Like I have a book. It's called it's called Something Evil. It's about Anakin and Obi-Wan chasing down Grievous.
So, in episode 2, he doesn't have it, right?
Not that I remember.
And he doesn't get it in episode.
Not that I remember.
Does Count Dooku give it to him in that last
No,
fight?
because he cuts his arm off.
Yeah, but
that's the big one.
Did he get his face at all?
I don't think so.
Sorry to cut you off, Gio.
That's all right.
I was
No,
thinking about it last
that's a
night.
big thing because when we first see him, he has the scar.
He doesn't address it anywhere.
Yeah, he does have the scar when the movie does. That's a great. I
And
never actually thought
they
about
don't
that.
ever address it.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Do they? No. All right, they don't. Anyways, what was I saying? Jesus. But anyways, yeah, being in a theater for 2 hours, it was like one of the best theater experiences I had because it was just everything I wanted to see. Jedi battles, the fall of Anakin Skywalker, the rise of Darth Vader. It just, for 2 hours, it was just so many emotions and, you know, amazement.
There's twists and turns everywhere.
And it was also a bit of a sad feeling because all of us were under the impression that this would be the last Star Wars movie ever. And, you know, that the Jedi would die and whatnot. And it was just like, so you went into the movie feeling a bit of sadness too. But I remember immediately after I went home, my family and I, we rewatched all 5 episodes of Star Wars because we loved it so much. So it's just memories like that, you know, that's why I'm the most attached to this movie. It's because of the build-up, the start of me researching movies, and, you know, the time I spent with my family in Star Wars. It was just really amazing. As for this movie, I mean, no matter what the negatives are, it's going to be the movie that's arguably, I might be saying it too early, but this might be my favorite Star Wars movie out of all 6. I'm rewatching Empire and Return of...
Wow, that's a bold statement.
I'm rewatching...
No, but I respect you for coming out and saying that.
No,
because a lot of people might
definitely-
feel that way, and they
definitely.
don't. They feel like people are going to talk shit to them.
I have it. It's my 3rd favorite.
Yeah,
it's
like,
ahead of
you
Return of the
shouldn't
Jedi
be ashamed
for
to
me.
admit that.
I'm
And
not.
that's
Like,
cool that you.
It's that way because of the time, the impact, and like my personal connection with it. Like, you know, it's. I mean,
Well, we can all agree it's the best prequel, right?
Yeah, objectively, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
my favorite prequel is The Phantom Menace, but as far as quality of a film, definitely.
Okay.
yeah. So I mean, regardless of whatever negatives we have, I'm always going to be attached to it. I'm always going to be excited whenever it's on TV. It's just, yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Spike TV does that Star Wars marathon all the time. So hopefully they'll do that one right before The Force Awakens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we're going to jump into our positives now and kind of talk about what we really loved and liked about the film.
This is how we see the film now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is not back then. Obviously, we weren't critics back then, so we didn't know very much about
back
the
then,
details
this
and stuff.
film was a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, exactly. So Gio, I'm gonna throw right back at you, man. Today, what really stands out to you as a positive? Like, what do you really like and what do you really love about Revenge of the Sith?
Well, this is going to be a lot of I'm not going to go in order from the movie from start to beginning. It's just going to be throughout times. First thing I'll say is that George Lucas, we've already said it. This is his best trilogy film in the prequel trilogy. It felt like he gave the most effort. It felt like he was on the game. I don't know if he was shaking off rust or whatnot, if he was just excited to tell this story. Like, okay, this is the point of the story where I want to tell. Okay, we're done with the romance and whatnot. Straight action. So I thought George Lucas did a very redeemable / commendable job as far as following Attack of the Clones into Revenge of the Sith.
This is pretty much the prequel he always wanted to make.
Right.
But he felt like he needed to do an entire trilogy.
And I'm just going to mention things. So the back and forth cutscenes between Anakin and Padme, as Padme is giving birth and Anakin's being built into Darth Vader, the back and forth scenes, how it goes from one to another, I thought it was great. Just seeing it all play out.
I never thought about that.
It's really tragic because you're seeing two people, whose love basically destroyed the entire galaxy.
It's juxtaposition against each other,
Yeah, you have a happy moment, you have a sad moment. Well, they're both really actually sad, but there's a little bit of happiness with Luke and Leia being born.
Even though it's a very sad moment, when you hear the names Luke and Leia.
But think about it. It's while she's dying and Luke and Leia are being born, Anakin is dying and Darth Vader's being born. So it's like it's very like. Yeah.
So much symbolism in there.
Exactly, yeah.
It was ruined by the no.
Yeah, they should have never.
That one thing. That's the only problem I have with that
almost forgot
scene.
about that.
It's like, no. I mean, me back then, I was like, oh, damn, Darth Vader's really pissed. But I'm looking at it today, I'm like, nah, he wouldn't say that.
He should have just kept his hands down and clenched his fists and everything just blown up around him.
Right.
Or
without no words.
Yeah.
Because that's what Darth Vader does.
Everything started
yell
crushing,
no. Darth Vader does not yell no. Mm-hmm. Never.
I thought Anakin and Obi-Wan had great teamwork and chemistry, probably their best in the two films when they were rescuing Chancellor Palpatine.
Yeah, the very beginning of the movie is very fun. It's probably one of my favorite parts, besides the whole lightsaber battle at the very end. That opening scene is so much fun.
I sense a trap. Next move. The trap. Oh yeah.
And it's actually funny. Like that's the first time they're like bantering back and forth, and it's funny.
They're not master and Padawan. They're brothers. Like they are brothers.
And it's weird because the Clone Wars, you see that develop, but we didn't see that back then. So it's kind of cool. It makes sense where they're at in that time.
Yeah. How incredible is Ian McDiarmid in this movie? He's just phenomenal. I mean, even the slower moments, he just delivers every time. And
that voice. Oh, yeah, he does that evil voice. Yeah.
The scene with Anakin and Palpatine sitting down. Me and Jacob were talking about this in the car right over here. Might be the best scene out of all the 6 films because
I don't know about that. Talk about of the prequels.
The prequels, yes.
They talk about Plagueis.
Yeah.
Every line of dialogue, for as much dialogue problems as these prequel trilogy has, that scene, I mean, I don't think there's one bad thing with it, Like the acting is good, the dialogue and everything, and the tone of it.
And it's very important to like what's going on in the movie.
Well, that one scene can create an entire new trilogy of movies with Plagueis.
Yeah.
That dialogue, because that opened up an entire new possibility.
And it's the only dialogue that makes Plagueis official canon, too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hayden Christensen, I thought he gave a good performance, but he wasn't being asked to do too much. It's like, all right, this is the film where you're going to be very serious, you're going to be very confused, conflicted, and whatnot.
Angry.
Yeah.
Well, and you got to think though, like when he was brought onto these, like the prequels, he was someone who, like, this was his first big break, and he was being directed by someone who's not a character director.
I actually thought he did a decent job in Revenge of the Sith, expressing those anger emotions.
George Lucas, like, for all he's done, he's fabulous, he's fantastic, but he does not direct actors and actresses too well. Imagine if someone like Hayden Christensen was directed by J.J. Abrams or Rian Johnson. Like, imagine what they would have gotten
Which
out of it.
I hope might happen with that rumor.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But I mean, he did do a fantastic job for what he was given. And a definite step up from Attack of the Clones.
Oh, he was bad in Attack of the Clones, I thought.
Meanwhile, Ewan McGregor just completely
Oh, dude, that guy
is Obi-Wan Kenobi.
That guy could be king of the universe.
Wow.
And I would like. I love that guy. He is so awesome.
He's incredible.
He
in
is
this
so
film.
awesome.
Yeah, and as we talk about Episode 4 later on, A New Hope, and we look at Ewan McGregor's performance in Episode 3 and Alec Guinness in Episode 4, it's like it's really similar, you know. Like
They go hand in hand.
What does he say? He says something in Revenge of the Sith that Alec Guinness says in the movie.
Really?
I forget what it is. Yeah,
Oh.
it's when he's going after
Grievous?
and like I think he jumps down on the platform and he says something. I forget what it is though.
says hello there.
Yeah, that's what it is. I think that's what it is. And Alec Guinness says
Oh,
that.
when
in
he's
the,
okay.
He's like,
okay.
"Hello there." Alec Guinness says that in the original trilogy.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A little symbolism there.
Two other things I'll mention. One was Execute Order 66, the theme,
That was tragic.
the score.
That
of
whole
it.
scene was tragic, man.
Yeah, seeing the Jedi die.
It
but
was
then-
done very well too.
Yeah.
I thought.
One thing that John Williams' music does is it takes the scene to the next level.
Brings you in.
It brings you in, and just that whole entire sequence of seeing Jedi die. It's tragic, but John Williams' score just makes it even more. You know, it's
Yeah,
really,
some of the Jedi Order's
really-
most iconic heroes. I mean, just gone.
Yeah,
it's
you-
crazy.
You see him just being killed off
Yeah.
in different ways too. It's wow. And then the last thing I'll mention is, all right, we all know the fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin. I mean, for me, it's no matter what people say, it will always be entertaining and just awesome to watch. You know, because you're watching these two brothers just go at it. They're not holding anything back. But I thought the build-up to the fight was great. You see Padme trying to convince Anakin to stop this and come back. There's one little line of dialogue that ruins it where she says, "You're breaking my heart," and I'm just like, "You're giving me Episode 2 nightmares again," you know. But other than that, just like, and then you see Obi-Wan standing at the top, you know, and he's like, you know, "What's it gonna be, Anakin? Are we gonna fight?"
It's like, you killed her. You did that yourself.
Yeah, and then
I
they're
go
just
on, man. I freaking love that scene.
yeah, they're back and forth. The build up, I thought it was great, and then obviously the action is. I mean,
Well, this is like the real first time. I mean, we saw a little bit in Attack of the Clones, a little bit, but like legit lightsaber battling going on, like legitimate, like for a length of time. We saw it in Attack of the Clones.
Oh, like yeah.
We saw it in Phantom Menace with Darth Maul and Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, but Obi-Wan versus Anakin, Yoda versus Palpatine, Mace Windu versus Palpatine. It's like there's a bunch of it throughout. And this is like the
Dooku
first-
versus Anakin.
we saw in the very
Obi-Wan.
beginning. It's like it's all throughout the movie instead of just like one specific scene.
Yeah, you're right. There's in the other two. There's just like one big
scene, yeah.
lightsaber fight. There's a lot of them in
Yeah.
this.
And I actually have one more. The ending, how the film ends. It mirrors the famous scene from A New Hope where Anakin is looking. I mean, Luke is looking out to the horizon and sees the two suns. You see Joel Edgerton,
Uncle Owen.
his wife,
Uncle
Uncle
Owen.
Owen, and the baby, and they look off into the sunset. And
Yeah.
John Williams' theme is playing. It's just like, wow, talk about
Foreshadowing some great.
foreshadowing and ending. You know, it was amazing. So that's what I have.
No, I mean that's some great stuff. Jacob, I mean, a lot was said there. I'm sure there's gonna be a couple things rematch, but what do you think? What are some good positives for you?
Well, one thing that I really enjoyed and what puts this movie above the other two as far as quality is the tone of the film. Because Phantom Menace, while it is my favorite prequel just because, you know, Darth Maul pod race, that's all I have to say. But it's like a joke the whole time, like cuz freaking dumb face Jar Jar Binks. It makes the movie like it makes me not take it serious at all. Him and young Anakin. And then Attack of the Clones, the stupid romance going on, ruins the movie for me. This movie didn't have. I can't point to one of those things where like that stupid ass thing bothered me so much. I can't think of something like that in this movie other than maybe splitting up Anakin and. But I'll get that back to that later. But just the tone is very, very dark, and it made me take the movie a lot more serious, and it made the movie more enjoyable for me overall. And I want to take Star Wars seriously. I don't want to be like disgusted as I watch Star Wars, or I would be like giggling when I watch Star Wars. Yeah. I want to take it seriously. So I took this film a lot more serious. I took it more seriously than Return of the Jedi. Like it's just there's some things in that movie that bother me too. But yeah, tone. Yeah, like you said, lightsaber duels. Like collectively, the best lightsaber duels in any movie, because there's so many. There's the opening scene, the Count Dooku, and I love that. They both go after him at first, but then Anakin beats him by himself, which is incredible. Mm-hmm. That is awesome. And then that defining moment when he's holding the two swords and Plagueis is like, "Do it."
No, not Plagueis. Palpatine.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
I'm like, Plagueis was in there?
No, Palpatine. That's what I meant. Because we were talking about Plagueis earlier. Yeah, and like he actually does it, and you're like, damn, like you're not supposed to do that as a Jedi, you know? So that's like, I mean, we knew he's going down the dark side, but that was like a big significant moment, and that opening scene is just incredible. It's like, you know, they're both going into battle on their ships, and they both have their droids, you know. And doesn't Obi-Wan's droid die in that scene?
Its head gets ripped off.
Yeah, and that sucks because that's the droid he has in Attack of the Clones.
Yeah,
that he goes
he wings him to the ship together.
Yeah, and like the way they're talking to each other, and it's like funny, you know. That opening scene was awesome, even though it's like an hour long almost. The longer
it was
the
be
better.
Even longer originally. But
yeah, and then just highlight of the film, Ewan McGregor. Like he gives a good performance in all the movies, but this one he gives a great performance, and it's even better because he was directed by George Lucas, because he wasn't working with an actor's director. So the fact that he was able to give that performance without any like guidance from a legitimate director speaks volumes as to how great of an actor he is. And it's like he's giving it his all in a Star Wars movie, in a franchise movie. Speaking, like, Alec Guinness got nominated for Best Supporting Actor for A New Hope. I feel like he should have gotten nominated for this movie. I don't know what came out that year, who was nominated, but he gave such a great performance. Like, if Alec Guinness could get nominated, I feel like Ewan McGregor was in this movie a lot more than Alec Guinness was in A New Hope. So, like, I don't know there. But, yeah, those are my...
We also have to remember the impact Star Wars had
when
back
it first
then.
Came out. Yeah, and it was like, yeah. So, yeah, those are my main positives. There's other things throughout the movie that I enjoy, but those are my main positives.
Yeah, for me, every time I turn this movie on, the opening scene is what I look forward to so much. Like, just, I love the Jedi, like, those are the Jedi fighters. That's what the Jedi use. Mm-hmm. These little ships that just maneuver like crazy. I love seeing Anakin in a cockpit because that's what he does.
And he's a
that's
pilot.
What he's so good at.
One of the best in the galaxy.
And he has all these tricks up his sleeve. You know, the spinning with the rockets coming and helping Obi-Wan fly into the ship. It's so cool to see, and it's really cool because like you see them flying together when it first opens up, and then they dip down, and it's just giant war going on.
Yeah,
like just craziness above Coruscant or wherever they are.
Coruscant.
So that's a really cool scene. I mean, like you both have mentioned, Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan is just fantastic. He easily the best thing about the prequels. He gave great performances in all three movies. His evolution as a character was great, and I thought the back and forth between him and Anakin was great. I love the scene between them when they get back onto the planet. When Anakin's like, "Oh, I saved you one more time." He's like, "Now we're even." He's like, "No, I saved you on this planet." And it's like Anakin's always saving Obi-Wan from some kind of disaster.
Right.
So that's really cool to see, and it kind of just goes back and forth, and that's kind of what made the change at the very end of the movie so difficult to watch, because these two were brothers. Like, they grew up together. Obi-Wan trained him since he was a little kid, and to see that twist at the very end, it's very emotional. You know, you guys were talking about the Plagueis scene where they're talking about Plagueis and Palpatine and Anakin. But there's also another scene in that courtroom that is probably the best line in the movie, where Padme says, "So this is how liberty dies, with thunderous applause." Mm-hmm. That line is so good.
Yeah.
And it came at the perfect time, and to come from her is huge too. I thought it was the best line in the movie. It had such a good impact, and it came at the perfect time. I thought Natalie Portman as Padme was really good too, the best she had been in all three movies. We didn't see her in action as much. We saw her more as a politician, which was good.
And that's what she should be doing.
Yeah,
she should not be involved in the action.
Yeah, so she's solid as a politician. Although too much Jar Jar, of course. But And the Mustafar scene for me is huge. I've said it before. I can quote that entire scene. It's so good. The action is insane. The choreography for the fighting. I don't understand, like, kind of going to every place on the planet. But, I mean, I don't care. I just like seeing lightsaber battles. And the talk of between Obi-Wan and Anakin, when Anakin's like, you don't know my power, the kind of power I have. And Obi-Wan's like, don't try it. And he just cuts off all his limbs. Like, that's crazy. That impact is so insane. And now we know why Darth Vader is Darth Vader and what happened and all that. And it's just, I mean, I really do enjoy the movie. Yeah, I put it above Return of the Jedi personally. When we can get into that later on in the next podcast. But
another one of my positives is just the whole Mustafar scene.
Yeah,
like I actually didn't even mind Padme's breaking my heart thing because
it led up to it.
It made sense because he's literally breaking her heart. Like, he's turning to the dark side, and she doesn't want to see that happen. Obviously, maybe the dialogue.
It's always been like that one moment where I'm just like, it just kind of like gets to
but like
you, know?
I feel like she's devastated, and they had to show it somehow.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe it was a delivery. I don't know.
I thought it was good too. I mean, it was a bit strange. I mean, a little bit just because of Hayden Christensen, but I thought it was good. And I thought Obi-Wan showing up at the perfect time was just.
No, I have some problems with that scene, but I didn't think she was a problem necessarily.
And I also love the Yoda Palpatine battle. Those two going at it.
That was cool to see.
The greatest Jedi versus the greatest Sith.
Yeah.
The two of them going at it. That's pretty
we had
insane.
to see that at least once. In
and seeing Yoda go full Yoda on him is pretty cool. Even though he got beat, it's pretty good. I mean, there's a ton of things to like about the movie. A lot of positives. It's by far the best prequel in my mind. It's a great lead-in, I mean, even though there are a bunch of negatives, and we'll get into that. But so those are our positives. We're going to jump into our negatives now, and I'm going to shoot it back to Jacob. So any major negatives that stand out to you? I'm sure there's a couple, but
yes, I mean,
any that won't get you too riled up.
There's a few things, but this has the least flaws in any of the movies.
It has a 83% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah,
that's pretty impressive for a prequel.
Like, most critics admit that it's the most watchable of the prequels. Like, and it is. I mean, you take Jar Jar out of Phantom Menace, I love that movie, but it's like this movie is legit. It has the least flaws, but there are flaws, and there's things that really bother me. And it's something I mentioned about in Attack of the Clones. They freaking, even though we get to see Anakin and Obi-Wan working together for 45 minutes opening the movie, after that, never again. They separate, they go on their own missions again. Obi-Wan goes after Grievous. I forget what Anakin does. He
stays at.
He has to spy on Palpatine, right? They ask him to spy on Palpatine. So this trilogy, like, George Lucas didn't come out and say this, but we were supposed to see Obi-Wan and Anakin's relationship, similar to what we see in Clone Wars, like you said. But in Attack of the Clones, different missions, guys. Revenge of the Sith, different missions. Like, I wanted to see them work together, and they separate them again, which really upset me.
Well, if you think about it, though, I mean, in Revenge of the Sith, he kind of he doesn't become a Master Jedi, but he becomes a Jedi.
But I still want to see them working together, even if it's not Master Padawan. Like, Jedi still go on missions together.
Yeah, but a lot of them, because it's the Clone Wars, they go on.
Oh, they lead in their own squadron and stuff. Yes. But I mean, they were working together in the beginning of the movie.
It's Obi-Wan and Commander Cody. Those two go hand in hand.
But they were working together in the beginning of the movie. Why can't we see more of that?
But that was before he became a Jedi.
Yeah. Well, either way, like, my worst complaint of the whole prequels is the romantic elements between him and Padme. I don't mind romance, but it just was not executed well. And there's not as much in this movie, but like the scenes before Anakin turns to the dark side and they're talking to each other, like I don't know where they are, they're sitting on a couch or something, and like just the dialogue is just horrible. All the dialogue between Padme and Anakin is just, in these movies, are horrible, and that continued in this movie for me. And my biggest issue is, and this happens in a lot of movies and TV shows and just storytelling in general. So Anakin's main obsession is Padme, right?
Pretty much.
He wants to. That's his whole motivation.
Well, yes, he wants to save her.
I don't mind that. I don't mind that that's his motivation. But, so, he wants to be with her. He wants her to live. But he knows if, like, and he's supposed to know Padme, like, know who she is and know what she wants and what she likes. And he should know that going to the dark side, he's going to lose her. But I know he's blinded, but all these things, so he thinks by going and slaughtering kids and turning on the Jedi and doing all this, that she's going to want to be with him after that. And he still goes and does all this stuff. Like, I don't understand. Like, maybe the dark side's just taking over. It's too powerful and it's blind. It's taking over his whole thought process in his mind, but it doesn't make sense. And he starts choking her on Mustafar. Like, that's the love of your life. And it's she's pregnant with your babies.
The dark side's getting him.
You start choking her. You think she's going to be with you. So what's the point of keeping her alive if she's not going to be with you? Like, and if the dark side is so powerful, then
it just shows why they didn't grant him rank of Master Jedi.
Well, yeah, I mean, on that point, it goes back to showing how much Anakin, how underused he feels to the Jedi Order. Yeah. He's more his craving for power overcomes his love for Padme and saving her. He just wants that power.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
He wants
that
to
makes sense.
Recognized,
But the reason he even is going for the power is for her, and everything's about Padme.
Right.
Everything. And it doesn't make sense to me why he would do so many things that would make Padme not want to be with him. Do you guys disagree with me? Like,
no, I got you.
I totally get you.
I'm just wondering because I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I mean, obviously it is different. It's a little bit weird to see him make that turn, and it may have been forced just because the ending of the movie is supposed to end with him as Darth Vader.
Yeah.
So it may have been a forced situation.
Like rushed, not forced, but maybe rushed.
Rushed, yeah. Rushed. That's probably a better word.
No, I see. Yeah, and I mean those are my main negatives. Like, there's really not a lot of bad things in this movie, honestly, and it's weird. As time goes on, I start appreciating this movie a lot more, and it has to do with how atrocious the first two are. Because that's what I was telling Gio earlier, actually. The reason Revenge of the Sith looks so good is because the other two are so bad.
Well, it's like we talked about with Spectre. The reason we don't like Spectre is because Skyfall was so good.
Exactly. So it all has to do with expectations. So, yeah, those are my main negatives.
Gio, what do you got, man? I know you got some.
Well, this might be my favorite movie, but that doesn't mean I'm going to excuse some of the stuff that bothers me. I'll talk about the Anakin's thing real quick. His fall is, without a doubt, rushed and somewhat unbelievable. I mean, just some of the stuff that he does, his quick turnaround, and then he's so willing to do things like destroy the Jedi. Power. You want Padme power? You got to destroy the Jedi. What? Okay. And then after that, I think it's too quick. Maybe if they would have established a little bit more of that into episode 2. Because I know George Lucas had an idea for episode 2. But, I mean, I don't know. It's rushed. And for all the reasons that Jacob says, too. And it's unbelievable because it's like, come on. You're really going to do all this for Padme?
Well,
and what in your right mind thinks?
So if you think about it, like Palpatine's telling him all this stuff about how he can save her and, immortality and all this kind of stuff. And then Mace Windu comes in and is like, okay, you're the Sith Lord, I'm coming after you, blah, blah, blah. If he's trying to save Padme, the turn is kind of almost believable because he needs to save Palpatine for that reason. So it kind of makes it almost a little bit believable.
Yeah.
Because
one more negative. Palpatine little twist and jump.
Yeah,
stupid.
That was dumb. But, I mean, he may not have, he wasn't in his right mind, obviously, because he all of a sudden, cuts Windu's hand off. And then Palpatine finishes him off.
Well, he struggles in doing that. You see it in his face. He doesn't want to do it.
Yeah. So to me, it is a little bit believable just because he did struggle with it, and it wasn't so quick. It was like, okay, I did this because he has the answers to what I want, not just because. I mean, he wanted Palpatine gone, obviously, but then Palpatine's like, I can save your wife or your girlfriend, whatever she is.
Yeah.
So
I just realized this. Mace Windu could have killed the Emperor, right? Could have killed Palpatine, right?
He was killing him until Anakin cut his hand off.
And that's crazy that Mace Windu could have taken out the Emperor right there.
Yeah, but Anakin cut his hand off.
Yeah. If Anakin wasn't there,
he's gone.
There you go.
Or if Anakin would have arrived a few seconds earlier and sees Palpatine with the red lightsaber, it's like, okay, clearly this guy is evil.
But I don't even know if that would have helped.
Yeah, I don't think so. I
because
think it
he even said, Anakin already told Mace Windu, I think he's the Sith Lord we've been searching for. That's what sends Windu over there. Mm-hmm. So I think he already knew that.
Well, actually, they were already going over there, but...
Were they?
Because
I know Anakin
he just got word that General Grievous was killed, so we're making sure that he transfers powers.
But Anakin does tell him that I think he's the Sith Lord we've been searching for.
At first, Anakin's trying to do the right thing. He really is spying on Palpatine,
but then Palpatine twists his minds up. That's
had Anakin have gone with Mace Windu in the first place, would that have happened?
No.
Differently, you think?
No, and if Mace Windu and the Jedi, I guess the Jedi Order, but mainly Mace Windu hadn't shut him out. They said, no, you need to stay here. Yeah. They shut him out. They didn't want him going.
That was kind of a negative too, is because like you have the Jedi doing everything like in their power to piss Anakin off, and Palpatine's doing everything in his power. It almost kind of seemed too easy, Jedi is telling them this, Palpatine's telling them this. It's just it
very
kind of eating into
very convenient.
Yeah, a beat for beat type
to
thing.
the point where it's convenient. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys think of? We haven't really talked about Mace Windu at all in these 3 reviews. What do you guys think about him in general as a character?
I liked him. I thought he was cool.
I liked him. Yeah,
he was cool. I liked him too.
Because he was Yoda's second-hand man, but he countered him because sometimes he wouldn't agree. He was a very different type of Jedi.
No, he wasn't a bad character at all. And I love when he kills Jango Fett in Attack of the Clones. I thought that's awesome.
Yeah,
he's at his bad.
But did Samuel L. Jackson take you guys out of the movie a little bit?
No, because back then I didn't know who Samuel L. Jackson was.
I did, but what about watching it now? Does it?
No, it's fine with me.
You see him as Mace Windu?
It's totally because he's.
Well, that's cool because you never hear anyone really say anything bad or good about Mace Windu.
Well, and in these Star Wars movies, he's not acting like the normal Samuel Jackson stuff that we see from him.
That's true. He's acting like a wise Jedi.
Very different kind of Samuel Jackson from what we've seen.
You're right. I was just curious because we never talk about Mace Windu. So
yeah, I think he's a great character, but I don't think he should get his own spin-off movie.
No, and of course not.
A couple negatives. Let's run this down. Mace Windu versus Palpatine. Badass intro. Mace Windu walks in, all Samuel Jackson-like, with 3 Jedis behind him. They're walking up. They all activate their lightsabers. Palpatine does the twist and jump. And then 3 Jedis go down immediately. 3 Jedi Masters go down immediately. Like, so we're talking about like one
swing. The Emperor, bro.
I know, but it either shows how powerful Palpatine is, which he clearly isn't, because how many times should he have died in this movie? But then it shows how weak the Jedi Council really were, Like, come on. Man.
I agree with you.
One swing and 3 swings, and one of them goes down. Kid Fisto, the green one with the...
Kid Fisto, he's one of the strongest Jedi to ever live, and he goes down like that.
And you would think while Palpatine's... if Mace Windu's so powerful, he's able to defeat Palpatine by himself, then while Palpatine's killing those other Jedi, why couldn't Mace Windu take him down real quick? It's just...
I know, that just bothered me. It's
that's like we talked about, it was rushed.
Yeah.
They wanted to get the fact that Mace Windu's going to die.
It was such a badass intro. You see all 4 of them activate their lightsabers at one time. It's like, oh,
What is cheesy too? Because Palpatine's he's stabs him, and the guy's like, oh no, it tips over. It's like,
I was like, come on, I wanted to see a better fight than this. And speaking of fights, how about General Grievous with his 4 lightsabers? How awesome was that to see him just activate 4 lightsabers?
Is that a negative?
No, the negative was the fight a little bit. Like he's swinging 2 lightsabers, and then in the back you see him twirling the other 2, and it's just like, what are you doing? Just attack. Don't do this for showmanship.
Well, that's George Lucas. He just wanted to show something cool.
Yeah. It was kind of like, okay, all right, General Grievous.
Well, he had a cool character. He's like, oh, I'm going to show him off a little bit.
Right. Yeah. I was just like, I'm not impressed.
That book that I was talking about, because they're going after Grievous, he's a total badass.
I love that Obi-Wan had to use the blaster to kill him, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he goes like, what did he say? He goes.
Doesn't he talk shit about blasters?
He's like stupid weapons or something he says something like.
Does he say it after that or before?
Yeah, he says after he's shot, he throws it down. He's like stupid weapon.
No, he goes,
that weapon saved your life.
Yeah, exactly.
He goes, so uncivilized.
Uncivilized.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
This is my movie, you guys.
Yes, that's what it is. Exactly. Good call, man.
Let's keep talking about fights. How about Yoda bailing on Sidious after he has Sidious beaten? Why are you gonna run away? Your lightsaber's like 20 feet away from you on the floor.
Dude, that guy just took a fall from like 500 feet up.
But still,
And he hit whatever, and then he fell on the ground.
so
like,
Yoda's
that guy's old.
So
He's
Yoda,
thousands of years
so
old.
Yoda's more concerned about living than potentially defeating Sidious and sacrificing his
Maybe
life.
he realized that he wasn't gonna beat him.
And they can sense things, you know, like
Well, I don't
remember
know,
like
because-
Obi-Wan knows he's gonna die soon in The New Hope. Like maybe Yoda sensed like I'm gonna lose this fight because they can sense, the Jedi's can sense stuff.
Yoda had him so many times.
Yeah, but he fell from.
And
like,
all
40
Yoda could have
stories.
done, was grab the upper seats where the Senate hangs and use the Force and bring them all down. Hell, Yoda. If I was Yoda, I'd be like, take me with you. As long as you die, I don't mind dying.
Yeah, but you gotta remember that Sidious, he's the Sith Lord, like the Sith Lord.
Yeah, for a Sith
So-
Lord, he's pretty. I mean, the best thing he can do is manipulate people, but that's it. Like Mace Windu almost took him down. Yoda pretty much almost took him down. I don't know. All right. How about all right? We thought the droids were weak in Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace. They are laughably weak in this movie, especially in the beginning. Like, all right, so they enter Grievous's hangar, and they're taking the Jedi's the droids down, and then like it cuts to some droids falling, and then they're not even hit or nothing. They just fall and go ah, and then R2D2 manages to take out 2 super battle droids with oil.
Because R2D2 is a badass.
Cool moment, but like okay, like these droids are weak, and then Count Dooku when he has
Hey, R2's a droid too. Badass droid.
I guess
R2's not just that guy's like that guy. See, he's a person.
And then
He is a person.
And then right before the clones turn on Obi-Wan, you just see these clones wailing on these droids, you know, with their machine guns and all that. It's like these droids are they're just
Well, they're scrap metal.
yeah, pretty much.
That's what they are.
Yeah.
They're like any other army. They're just there for numbers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. What else? Okay, so there's a deleted scene in The Revenge of the Sith where, and I think I showed you this, Jacob, where Senator Organa and Padme are kind of starting the rebellion. It's a deleted scene where there's like a group of senators and they're like, okay, we need to do something about this because this republic that we're serving is clearly not the same. I've started an organization, whatever. So I would have loved to see more of the start of the rebellion, whereas the film focused too much on the Empire, the rise of the Empire, and then we leave Revenge of the Sith going into A New Hope, just like, oh, okay, this rebel organization might have started. I would have loved to see more of the start of the rebels in Episode 3. I mean, that's just a negative for me. If you guys watch the deleted scene, you'll see what I'm talking about.
But I mean, it is a long time before, like anything really. I mean, everything kind of just creeped up on him, like Anakin switching sides, Sidious popping up out of nowhere, the Jedi being terminated.
It goes back to everything being rushed because you're trying to fit so much into a movie.
Yeah,
Um,
you got a lot of negatives.
I have a list.
I thought it was your favorite
His
episode.
favorite Star Wars
Yeah,
movie.
I thought it was his favorite Star Wars movie.
Let's talk about the dialogue a little bit. I'm gonna say some stuff, and these are things that bothered me. Okay, number one, the obvious. It's over, Anakin. I had the high ground. Right? That was terrible, right?
That's a great. What are you talking about? That's great.
No.
That's great.
And then there's a moment where Anakin goes, "You will not take her from me," and it's just like, what do you? No, like that was not convincing. You know, it's like he's all having his death stare and everything, and then let's see. All right, Anakin Skywalker, you are so beautiful, Padme. It's only because I'm so in love, Anakin. No,
I think it's the scene you were talking about.
It's because I'm so in love with you.
I think that's the scene you were talking about.
Yeah, I didn't know the exact dialogue,
Yeah,
but
that's
that
it.
is horrible.
Padme.
That is that might be the worst line I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah,
honestly.
it's just
I'm
like,
not even exaggerating.
so love has blinded you? That's not what I meant.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that whole
That's
entire
so
thing, I'm
bad.
just like, oh god. And then the
She's
last,
beautiful because she's in love with him. What?
it's only because I'm so in love with. Oh god. Yeah. Well, I didn't have time to collect more, but and then the last thing I'll mention is how Padme dies. You know, she's lost a will to live. What? I mean, I've never. in any of the 6 films, anybody died because they just lost the will to live. You kidding me?
Anakin broke her heart, man. You never heard of a broken heart killing somebody?
Not in Star Wars?
This is a Star Wars universe, though. I mean, they do have what's called the Force.
I thought it was an easy way just to kill Padme. Oh, George Lucas is like, all right, we need to kill Padme because she doesn't appear in Episode 4. And
You know why that's a negative also, but it's because of something that happens in the future. In Return of the Jedi, Leia says she remembers her mom.
well, she could be talking about Senator Organa's.
No, she's talking about her birth mother.
Yes, she does say that. She does say that.
She says she remembered her mom.
She remembers how beautiful she was.
And her mom died right when she was born.
Yeah,
Right.
she remembers how beautiful she
Well,
was.
maybe the Leia looked at her mom as a baby. And
No, George Lucas came out and said he didn't care about.
He wanted that ending. That's what he wanted.
He didn't care about messing up the timeline or whatever.
See, that just goes to show, George.
Yeah, stubborn.
And last thing, I would have loved
Love
to
him,
see. I would have loved to see more of Senator Organa. It goes back to me talking about how I would have liked to see a little bit more of the rebels, their origins, their start, their seedings. Because Organa, every scene that he's in, he's amazing.
Yeah, he was pretty good. I like that actor. He's in Sons of Anarchy.
I hope he returns for Rogue One.
Yeah, what if he's in Rogue One?
Oh, that
I
would be
would love to see him
awesome.
in Rogue
Felicity
So,
Jones'
is that
dad.
all your negatives?
That's all that I had time to collect. So
Jesus,
y'all lucky.
man.
Y'all
And that's your favorite Star Wars movie?
like I said, I still love it. I have the
think
emotional
you gave
connection.
more negatives
than positives.
than any of our reviews for the Star Wars
Yeah.
movies.
It's
so
only
far.
because I'm so attached to it that.
But sometimes
there
you
are
like
a couple
analyze the things you love the most
Yeah.
more. You know.
Well, I mean, for me, there aren't a ton of negatives. I'm like Jacob. I mean, I thoroughly enjoy the film, and it's there's not really a lot of bad things. Obviously, the thing with Padme at the end, how in Return of the Jedi, Leia knows her mom, but Padme dies. That's a big one. There are a couple dialogue issues here and there. You know, like we talked about the fight with Mace Windu and Palpatine, with all the number of Jedi dying. That is a big. I've always wondered why it happened like that. Especially as a kid, I'm just like, they seem like they died so easily, and they're supposed to be Jedi.
I know, right? They just get shot and they die.
Yeah,
like
so-
they can't block. We've seen Anakin and Obi-Wan block so many blaster shots.
I mean, those are the main negatives for me. It's a very enjoyable film for me. So now we're gonna jump into our feelings about the film today compared to when we first saw the movie. For me, it's very enjoyable. I still enjoy watching it. I look forward to watching it every time I see it on TV or popping it in the Blu-ray player. I'm looking forward to watching it before the Force Awakens comes out. It's the best prequel. It has a lot of great action. It cuts out the love story a little bit. There's still a little bit there. It's a great finish to the prequel. I thought it wrapped up everything nicely, getting into Episode 4 and leading into other things like Rebels and we didn't know at the time, but Rebels and Rogue One and stuff like that. So expect to see maybe a little bit of mentions from Revenge of the Sith in like something like Rogue One or Rebels down the line. I mean, because it is the closest one to that movie besides Episode 4. So Jacob, I mean, what do you think about the movie now compared to when you did 10 years ago?
Well, I'm able to recognize that it is the best prequel, and when I was a kid, I wouldn't have been able to realize that because, like I said, I didn't know what was good, what was bad, what good dialogue was. But it does get the reward for worst line in any Star Wars movie. Those lines you just read.
Oh yeah.
So congratulations, Revenge of the Sith. But no, it's. Look, I don't even want to say I don't think it's a good movie. I don't, but it's not a bad movie. It's decent. And I think, like I said earlier, I think the reason people think I'm not saying you're wrong for thinking it's a good movie. Like that's your opinion. But I think the reason it gets the least hatred is because it's a lot better than the other two. So, like, it makes it look better. So,
yeah.
And that's something I've realized. But, no, overall, I still do enjoy it. And I might agree with you on it being better than Return of the Jedi. But then, like, there's things in Return of the Jedi I really don't like, but like the end of Return of the Jedi is so great, so it kind of it's back and forth with me.
It is back and forth with me, but
like
yeah,
it's
almost a tie.
Yeah, in a way. So yeah, I recognize its flaws more so now, but it's an enjoyable film, and I enjoy watching any Star Wars movie, but whenever I restart the prequel trilogy, I love watching Phantom Menace. I'm like, let's hurry up, get over Attack of the Clones, and then I'm so excited to watch Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
So that's how I view this film now.
What about you, Gio?
10 years later, I still feel the same type of emotions I felt when I walked in, where bad shit's going to happen. The Jedi are going to fall. Anakin's going to turn to the dark side, and, the birth of Luke and Leia. It's going to be a very emotional, heavy, dark film. And I still get that feeling today. Like this past week when I was watching the movie, I was just like, here we go. All right. Because I love the Jedi so much. They're amazing. Mace Windu, one of my favorite characters. So for all the imperfections and whatnot, I'm still attached to this movie very much because it is the best out of the prequels. It was a time where I grew up and, Star Wars was, offering something new for people in my generation, and it's the film that hits the most out of the three. I could still watch it anytime I want. Well, obviously, but I mean, anytime it's on, I immediately want to watch it, and so I love it. I mean, not the best movie ever. It has a 79% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is something I agree on.
So you think legitimately think it's a good movie?
I think it's a good movie.
No, I'm just curious.
Yeah, I think it's a good movie. Not great,
no,
not
I don't
terrible,
blame you for that.
Not bad, good.
I think it's right under being good.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, well, that'll wrap up our Revenge of the Sith talk. We're now going to move on to A New Hope. The thing that started it all, the movie that kicked off the entire Star Wars universe, the one that we are so thankful for. But unfortunately, one we didn't get to witness in theaters. It's many years before.
I have a story about when I watched it in theaters.
It was many years before any of us were
you
alive,
reincarnated, Gio?
We're going to do the same thing. We're going to talk about, when we first remember watching it, obviously at home. So Jacob, I'm going to start with you. Do you remember the first time you watched it? And, why do you love it so much? Why do you love Star Wars so much? The first one, A New Hope.
All right, so I was 6 months old, and I'm just kidding. No, I don't remember the first time. I probably literally was 6 months old because my dad's favorite thing in the world when he was a kid was Star Wars. And so I probably watched these movies 100 times each throughout my childhood, honestly. And it's weird because we didn't know how to judge quality back then. So I like the prequels just as much, but back then it was I loved every Star Wars movie when I was a kid, but this one I remember thinking it was really slow, but at the same time I loved it because I loved Obi-Wan Kenobi. I've always been drawn to Obi-Wan Kenobi. I don't know why. No matter who's playing him, I think just because my favorite color is blue and he had the blue lightsaber, so I was
Understandable.
I was always drawn to him. So, and just the one scene I remember the most as a kid was the when they go to the disposal and are they on the Death Star?
Yes, they're in the Death
garbage?
Star.
Yeah, when they go to the garbage
it's
disposal.
the Death Star, yes.
I remember that scene always creeped me out because that little creature with the eye that pops up, I was always creeped out as a kid. And yeah, I loved it. Just seeing the Millennium Falcon just fly in hyperspeed. I loved it as a kid. And it was the biggest influence on me as a kid. My dad gave me all his Star Wars toys and I broke them and lost them. It was the start of something beautiful.
Yeah, for sure.
And I loved it as a kid too. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember the first time I watched it either. Long time ago, but I do know that I didn't appreciate it then like I do now.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, it started something tremendous for all of us, but I still hold the very VHS tapes that I watched it on. I still have them. So they're my favorite movies of all time. So they're very special to me, and I just love the whole world that was created and the excitement and the characters and just the fun to it and the adventureness and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's very exciting and I love that it was a risk taker too at the time. Like, because I didn't know that then when I first watched it, but in 1977, no one would have thought of making something called Star Wars. Like, people were laughing in the face of George Lucas because of Star Wars.
Yeah,
and
I heard even the crew was like, they thought it was a joke.
So it's like, for it to be such the success that it is, it makes it that much more lovable. So it's a very special movie. I hate that I've never been able to see it in theaters. I hope that one day I'll be able to see it in theaters, and hopefully in its original format.
I would love that.
That would be fantastic.
I'll be there for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, Gio, what about you? I'm sure you're on the same boat as we are, but do you remember the first time you watched it? And if so, I mean, what did you think?
Other than last week, I honestly don't remember last time I watched this movie as a kid. I do remember
we watched it like 3 weeks ago, bro.
No, well,
I'm just kidding. You mean as a kid? You don't
as
remember
a
watching
kid,
it?
yeah. Like, the only thing I recall was how fun it was to follow C-3PO and R2-D2 throughout the sand. That was pretty cool. And the highlight for me was actually the X-Wing fighters. I love the look of those fighters, man. It's like they got 4 blasters, and you're right there in the center just shooting. That was awesome. But, I'm going to go a little bit on how you approach this and talk about the history a little bit. Like, it's hard to believe that George Lucas directed this film, because we were just talking about the prequels and how, much of a disappointment.
He was a different guy.
He was.
Totally different guy.
And this was a completely different project. Like you said, Jake, this was a passion project for him, something that only he believed in.
Yep.
And he made it work, and we see it in this film. The storytelling, the dedication, and
the character development,
the details, the dialogue, the
dialogue is
cinema,
so good.
the cinematography. It's just
in a day when there was no cinematography. The cinematography is like incredible.
It's incredible. Like, who doesn't forget the first time Luke looks out in the sunset and the horizon and see the 2 suns. And John Williams' score in the background, like, it's so iconic, and for what it did for cinema and for directors that we are working today, it's so incredible.
Well, every director today, well, most anyway, will say, when they're asked what influenced you to be a movie director or be a part of this business, Star Wars.
Exactly. So and that's something that no matter how much hate George Lucas gets for Star Wars from the fans, they better be damn lucky that, this guy had the courage, the same courage he had in the prequels, only it didn't work out, to make this and to make it work in the face of so much, hate and criticism. Like, good job, George Lucas. I'm sorry, I'm like losing words. I'm just like,
no, dude, it's so magical
good.
What he did. I mean, imagine what today would be like without Star Wars. Like,
right?
What it's done, not just for cinema, but for pop culture and communities everywhere. I mean, there's Force Friday and May the 4th be with you, and movie theaters are now being made after Star Wars, and there's Disneyland doing Star Wars. It's like
it's arguably the biggest thing in pop culture.
Just imagine
of all time.
Imagine what it would be like. I mean, we're doing a podcast called the Padawan Podcast. What would the world be like without Star Wars?
We would never have the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We would never have franchises in general, I don't think.
Industrial Light Magic.
No, that's very true, because I think Star Wars was the first trilogy.
And the way branding and marketing and toys and like posters and shirts and all of that, we would never have those type of things. I mean, it probably would have came eventually, but it all started with Star Wars.
Yeah.
Spaceballs.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic movie.
And I've never seen these films, but George Lucas gets a lot of credit for directing movies like THX 1138 and American Graffiti, and those were his 2 movies before Star Wars. So
he's a good director.
And he was a young man. He was probably hungry back then, and he wanted it. And when he made the prequels, he's a god. No one can tell him anything, and he's sitting on millions of dollars, and he has no. Maybe I don't want to say he doesn't have motivation, but he wasn't hungry, and he could have done whatever he wanted.
Well, let's not forget, and this is actually a news topic that we should have talked about earlier. Originally, he wanted either Ron Howard, Robert Zemeckis, or Steven Spielberg to direct Episode 1. He did not want to do that, but everybody told him.
The Phantom Menace?
Yeah, everybody told him.
Wow.
All 3 of the directors told him, George, you should be the one to make it. So the fact that he knew in his mind that, okay, maybe I'm not the right guy to do this. I saw what Episode 5
he's a smart guy.
Well, he didn't. The only movie he directed in Star Wars was Star Wars. He didn't direct Empire.
I
or
know.
Return.
Yeah, he let other. That was perfect. And
So
He wrote them, but I mean, that's,
yeah. Well, him and Lawrence Kasdan.
yeah. You're right. My bad. Kazan.
But I mean, we're kind of already talking about the positives, so let's continue the conversation. I mean, I know we're kind of up on time, but I mean, what are the positives of this film? Like we've talked about, like what it's done for pop culture and communities everywhere in the movie business. But as for the film itself, what are some of the few things that stand out to you the most? I mean, Gio, is there one or two specific things that like really, really jump out to you?
One or two. I have like 8 or 9.
Oh, bring them up, man. Go ahead.
All right, it's on my phone, guys. So I'm gonna, like I said, the sunset shot. This is my 4th time talking about it, but all right. So you see Luke look out into the horizon. If there's no music, you understand why he's doing that, because he wants to go out there. He knows that he's destined for more. But what do you hear while that happens? You hear John Williams' score, his music, and I'm telling you, like, his best work is in the first film. Like, just that iconic score. It just adds so much more. It takes it to a next level. What else? The film does a great job establishing so much backstory within its dialogue, specifically with Alec Guinness and him talking to Luke Skywalker about Jedi Knights, about the Clone Wars. It's
Without that, none of this past 15 years would have ever been made possible.
Right? And it's the brilliance within the dialogue to have so much more. Like, people
He
want to know.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, people would want to know, like, what is this Clone Wars? What are the Jedi Knights?
He knew exactly what he was doing.
You see the fight with Darth Vader later on, and you're like, whoa, these are what Jedi Knights were? Like, that's incredible. What were they before the Empire? So that was amazing. Han shot first.
The movie talk just talked about that, and it's hilarious.
I know George Lucas said, like, what was it, yesterday, the day before, that in his mind, Greedo...
Well, you know why they did that, right? Why
Yeah.
they made Greedo shoot first?
Because they wanted to make Han not this...
Murderer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what he is.
Well, he's a scoundrel.
that's who he was when you first meet him.
He's a scoundrel.
And
yeah.
he changes over the
Yeah.
3 movies, just like
I'm
Luke
fine
did.
with Han shooting first.
Yeah.
I'd rather have it, obviously.
And it's not like he's gonna. He's not gonna kill an innocent person.
Well, a bounty hunter was coming after his head. It's like, obviously, he has to
Yeah.
kill him. So
exactly.
anybody
Yeah.
would have done the same thing.
Yeah, so I treated that scene as if Han shot first. And I liked it, like, it's ballsy.
Oh, that's how it
Yeah.
is today, yeah.
Again, detail and dialogue. When Luke Skywalker is in the back seat asking Han, like, why isn't the light speed working? And Han is like, it takes time preparing for light speed, If we're not building up this anticipation for nothing, we don't want to run into like a supernova or into another planet. We got to be precise with this thing. I loved it. That was good dialogue. And then the funny moments when they're in the trash thing and C-3PO is being yelled at by Luke and is like, like, stop it, stop it. And then they stop it in time and they're celebrating, and C-3PO.
Oh, that's so hilarious.
Yeah.
He's like, they're dying.
They're dying. Like, oh no, R2, we're too late. Oh,
Yeah.
too late.
We're
That's
terrible.
so hilarious.
Man,
I love that
I
moment.
love that one. I loved how they made Leia a stronger character than her just being the damsel in distress.
Like, I know we talk about like Sigourney Weaver's Ripley and Charlize Theron's
Leia was the
Furiosa.
first badass.
She was the female character, like the one that like set
You
it
know
all
what's
off.
funny about that? They say like, oh, Star Wars is putting females in the forefront
They've
now.
always been
they
there.
They did it from the very
Well, just
beginning.
when people say-
Leia is the second. She's
Well, look how they say it. They say Star Wars, Luke, Leia, Han. Like,
yeah,
that's how you
she's
say
the
it.
second most important character. Like, I mean, hero in that trilogy. I mean, Darth Vader and Luke.
Well, she saves the dudes' butts more than they save
Yeah,
her.
she's in. And see where Padme belongs nowhere involved in the action. I believe Leia involved in the action.
She's a leader.
Yeah,
That's why
yeah.
I believe Felicity Jones.
yeah.
played
I would.
Leia.
I can't. I would. That would be incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the scene where Han and Luke are, well, actually before that, again talking about how strong she is. When Luke is sitting at the table after they escape the Death Star, and Luke is like, I can't believe he's gone. He's sad about Obi-Wan disappearing. I understand that. And then Leia is there comforting, and Leia just lost her entire planet, including her parents. Like, Alderaan just blew up. And she's somehow able to be stronger and be there supportive for Luke, this young farm boy who lost Ben Kenobi. I was like, wow, like Leia is so strong. I didn't realize that before, but strong female character. And then when they're shooting when Han and Luke are shooting the TIE fighters as they're escaping, again, John Williams music. And they're
don't get cocky, kid.
Yeah, and again, John Williams is so amazing.
I did it. I got one. Oh my god.
Luke is such a little boy in that movie.
Han just like, don't get cocky, kid.
Yeah.
And then Han messes with Luke about Leia.
Oh, I was gonna bring that up. That's so
Leia.
fun. I love that. That might be my favorite moment in the whole movie because what is Luke's?
Luke is like, what do you think about Leia? And he goes, I don't know, kid. Me and Leia,
or he's like, what do you think about a princess like her and a guy like me? And Luke's like, no. And then Han Han smiles
because he's messing. It's just
such great dialogue. Where were those moments in the prequels?
Yeah,
pressure, man, pressure.
Yeah, and then lasting the celebration at the very end, the ceremony. Again, John Williams' score just. Oh my God, when they're walking down and then like they get their medals and then they turn around and it's just a straight still shot of them, like all the main characters.
Such an iconic moment.
Great finale, yeah.
God, it's just amazing. So that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to echo everything you said. All those positives are fantastic. I mean, for me, the biggest positive for Star Wars, A New Hope, is the world building and character introduction. Like everything introduced obviously kickstarted Revelation.
It's so subtle too.
Yeah, it was done
forced.
so perfectly. They took time on it. It wasn't like when we first meet Luke, he's this farm boy. When we leave Luke or we leave A New Hope, he's still a farm boy just thrown into the rebellion.
Yeah,
he's still this very young kid. He's not a Padawan or some super Jedi.
And we know he's a good pilot from the beginning. And he's
exactly.
He wants to go to the academy to be a pilot. So him flying at the end and being involved in the last battle, it's not like thrown in there, you know?
When he meets his friend from Tatooine, Biggs, and they talk about flying back home and all that kind of stuff.
And he tells him he's one of the best pilots I know.
Exactly. So just everything was done so perfectly.
So detailed.
All the dialogue Gio mentioned, I mean, such great dialogue. Most of it coming from Han because the dude's just a freaking genius.
That was a great cast with Harrison Ford.
That guy, man, it'll go down in history. Like him as Han Solo is so freaking iconic.
At first, they didn't want him to.
Yeah,
remember they did
so
not want him.
He was a nobody kind of.
Yeah. So
wasn't he in American Graffiti?
He was.
He was in a previous film. I think it was
I'm
Graffiti.
pretty sure he was. I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that's how George Lucas knew him.
Yeah. But I mean, the casting: Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, Alec Guinness, all fantastic. I mean, all iconic in their own right. I mean, they did justice to the film, and he was in American Graffiti. There you go.
Yeah, he was in American Graffiti.
So. I mean, I call it Star Wars, even though it's called A New Hope. I like calling it by its original name because it was never called A New Hope until the frickin' prequels came around.
Was it when the prequels came around, or was it when?
Pretty sure when it was because that's when
he like re-released the.
Did he? Was it before the? Prequels?
I don't know when it was, but it was when he re-released
I feel like they officially named it Episode 4: A New Hope when they decided to do Episode 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah,
it was around '97, right?
Probably in the mid '90s when they announced the prequels. So I mean, there's tons of positives to go for. I mean, if you've never seen Star Wars, obviously you should check out Star Wars. But it's just the universe and galaxy it created is just fantastic. I mean, everything: Millennium Falcon, Jedi's, well, not Sith, but bad guys with red lightsabers. Darth Vader. They're probably
they called them Dark Lords.
The Dark Lords, not Sith Lords.
Yeah.
Dark Lords. The most iconic villain in film history, in Darth Vader.
The Death Star.
Yeah, the Death Star, one of the most scariest weapons ever made.
Is that a moon?
that scene's great though. The music in that scene is
fantastic.
Talking about
it.
So plenty of things to talk about. I mean, Jacob, I know you're going last, and there's a ton of positives already talking about. But
I mean,
the positives for you. I mean, I'm sure there's some.
Everything you guys said, I love. But I feel like. Okay, so back then when the movie first came out, we didn't know who, not we, but viewers didn't know who Darth Vader was. So imagine going into this movie not knowing anything about, it's just a random movie that, a big sci-fi movie came out, let's go see it. So imagine watching it the first time and then by the time the movie ends, what do you think of Darth Vader just in this standalone movie? They created such a great villain. Because what is a huge problem we have with most of our comic book, sci-fi, big blockbuster movies today? The villain was weak. More than like 90% of the time nowadays, the villain is weak.
Well, it was his story just as much as theirs.
And yeah, especially when you look at the whole trilogy. But it's like they establish him right away. Right when you first meet him, he's choking some dude and he just throws him to the side.
He's the very first person we see, correct? Well, outside of the Rebels and Stormtroopers.
Well, it's R2D2 and.
Well, yeah, outside of them, like in Leia.
I think we see Leia.
We see Leia first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. We see her slipping the Death Star plans into R2D2, but we don't really see her face.
You're right. Yes.
But yeah, we see Vader like come through the door and like. What's his name? Voicing him is amazing.
James Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones.
Oh my god. And just being able to, like, now we could all say, oh, of course Darth Vader's a great villain, but imagine just back then seeing the movie and just him in A New Hope or just in Star Wars as a villain is phenomenal. So props to George Lucas for creating him and establishing him as a scary, like, you don't want to mess with him villain.
Directors have been trying to recreate that kind of villain
and
for years.
And to go along with Vader, Grand Moff Tarkin, and it's not just because I'm Grand Moff Bartley. Like,
he's great.
Tarkin is a great character, and how badass is he? He gets to order Darth Vader around. Like, what does he say? Vader, that's enough. When he's force choking somebody, like, you get to order around arguably the most powerful being in the whole entire galaxy. And I love that Vader has a respect for, like, order, and like he knows that Tarkin answers to the Emperor, and so Vader has to answer to Tarkin. And I love that they could have easily made it like, oh, Vader doesn't care what anyone says. He's more powerful. He could kill Tarkin if he wants. But I love that he respects Tarkin, and it's such a great dynamic between them two. And just the music is phenomenal. It's the best score of all time. Like it's
which
so
one? The ceremony?
The actual theme song.
Yeah.
The normal
and
one. The crawl.
Just Alec Guinness and the way he portrays Obi-Wan, it's like it's so elegant.
Which is funny because he thought being Obi-Wan in this movie was gonna be stupid.
Yeah, I remember hearing that. He thought he didn't want to do it or something. Like, why do you do it? And he got nominated, which is weird because he gave a really good performance, but it's like, was it really an Oscar-worthy performance?
I don't know.
Maybe it was just the best performance in the movie.
Well,
so it's
because probably. And maybe back then characters like Han and Leia weren't considered supporting actors.
Yeah.
Maybe they were considered leads.
Yeah, that's true. So I thought he was so great, and like I could go on and on about Obi-Wan. He's my favorite character.
Well, the way he talks to Vader.
Yeah,
like,
and
just the way he talks to him when they finally meet. It's so like just it's
and it's
everything
just
you want.
My favorite thing, Gio, you kind of referred to it, is when he explains the Force. I don't know the exact dialogue, but he says it's an all. I don't know what he says, but he says it binds everything together. And it's like, that's all we need to know. We don't need to know about metachlorians and how high your metachlorian count is. Like, the way Alec Guinness explains the Force in that little hut with Luke is like the best way possible. That's all you need to know about the Force. And I mean, I can go on and on. Just the final battle at the end when Vader,
the X-Wings.
I love that Vader goes. He's like, "F this! I'm gonna go handle this myself," and he's just killing all of them.
Him
like
and his two squad members,
he just
going
keeps
after
knocking
him,
all of them off. And then, like I said, I can go on. Leia's great character, especially in the '70s. Establishing a female character like that is huge, and I hate that people don't realize that it's already been done. Like, people say, "Oh, we need." Like, there's not a lot of
it's been done for decades.
strong female characters. Like, you open your eyes and look that in the biggest franchise they had arguably the best female character ever. So yeah, those are my main positives. I mean, I could go on and on, but those are the big, huge things that stand out to me.
Well, we're gonna jump into negatives, and I don't know if there's gonna. I mean, do you guys have any major negative? I know Jacob has one he wants to talk about.
I do.
Which one?
So Jacob, go ahead.
Look, all right. Just looking at this movie alone, not looking at the trilogy, I didn't like the way they introduced Luke. Up until the last like 45 minutes, he's not a likable character, and he's supposed to be the main character and the hero. He's very whiny, and
you don't understand.
Right when you meet him, he's whining to Uncle Owen. He's whining to Han. He's whining to Obi-Wan. Like his high-pitched voice. I mean,
But
I
I was
don't
gonna
know.
go
I'm
to
probably gonna
Tosh.
get killed by a bunch of Star Wars fans, but I don't dig it the way they introduce him.
No, they feel the same way.
And I love Luke. I don't know. Like you never hear like a lot of people say like, who's your favorite Star Wars character? No one ever says Luke, but like after Obi-Wan, he's probably my favorite character. But it's just the way, and now I get it because George Lucas, the way he wrote the story, you introduce this young, like lost, immature, whiny kid, and by the time you see him in Return of the Jedi, he's a beast. Like you don't want to mess with Luke by that
Force
time.
Awakens.
Yeah. So.
Dude. Oh.
And imagine
Jesus.
like realizing he went from this little whiny kid to who he is in The Force Awakens. So that's my biggest negative.
I have chills thinking about him in The Force Awakens.
That's my
Because we're
biggest
only gonna see him
negative.
for about 10 minutes.
And the stormtroopers, like, come on.
Yeah, the Stormtrooper shooting is a big one, but
And
that's
it's
kind of
like it's in every movie.
It's kind of the fun of Star Wars, though. It's because it's an on-running joke.
Yeah.
It's an
And it's became like it's a thing in its own. You
yeah.
know?
So
like,
I'm okay with it just because it's all fun and games and it's Star Wars. But I mean, it's an on-running joke. So, but I totally get because them missing that much is pretty dumb, and the armor apparently doesn't protect them from anything.
oh,
so.
and one last thing. I talked to you about this, Jake. I not hate, but I really dislike that Luke didn't really react to his uncle and aunt being killed.
Yeah, we
like,
can talk
and
about that.
I watched it again, and it's like it doesn't go directly like it doesn't go right from him finding out. Like it doesn't show how he reacted right after
Yeah,
it.
it cuts.
Jumps from when he first sees it to like I would say about 30 minutes later when he's talking to Obi-Wan. So for all I know, during that time he could have fell on his knees and cried his eyes out, but they just didn't show him really react. And you're like, he has no other family. These are his parents. And they just died, and we didn't get a reaction. So that's
I'm not saying that Luke doesn't care about it. Uncle Owen and Aunt.
And I know there's a lot of bigger
What is her
things
name?
Aunt
going
Patoon?
on.
What is it?
Aunt Patoon?
No, it's like Aunt Varine.
Aunt Varine? Varun?
It's something like that. Anyway, I know. I'm not saying that he doesn't care about him or whatever, but
Aunt Beru.
Aunt Beru. There you
Beru.
go. I almost take it like he saw that happen. Now, because Ben Kenobi, he sees something in him, like the Force is guiding him to somewhere, like taking him away there to go with Ben Kenobi. Like it's in him already, and he doesn't realize it. Like he may have reacted, like you said. There's time in between the cuts that we don't know about, but something kind of took him away from that situation. Be like, okay, I have to go do this now. There's nothing else here for me. I have to go on this with Ben Kenobi. I have to do this. Go find myself. Go find a bigger.
Yeah,
cause,
I
blah,
love
blah, blah.
like I like that moment, but it's just like
the reaction to
and
it.
it's one of my pet peeves in movies or shows when
There has to be an emotional
like
scene.
I hate when characters don't react to people really close to them dying. And like a good example is like the first Maze Runner movie. You like the Maze Runner movies, right? Or no? The first Maze Runner movie when the fat kid dies.
Yeah.
And the way he reacts,
Yes,
that's
smart.
so realistic, and I really appreciated that. And that's something like that's how I want to see Luke
Chuck.
react. Yeah, and it's
Chuck.
like that's a kid he's only known for like a month, and it's like these are your parents, and they got I don't know.
How about those stormtroopers though incinerating their skin? Just skeletons left.
I know, right? That was pretty
brutal.
pretty gnarly.
Pretty brutal.
Well, they burned them, right?
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
They were right there. I was like,
Yeah.
wait, what?
Red-eyed skeletons. All right, so anything else we want to add? Positive, negatives?
You guys didn't talk about any negative. You guys don't have
I don't
negatives.
have negative. I don't have a
Oh,
negative.
you don't have any
I don't
negatives.
have a negative.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Do you have any?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I got like
Yeah.
8 or
You really
9.
don't have any negatives.
I'll agree with you with the family thing, but I'm pretty much okay with the entire movie. Like I am 100% all in.
Look, this is my favorite movie of all time, and I just nothing's perfect,
There isn't, but there's nothing enough to where like
it bothers
takes
you.
Yeah.
I even said that in my review. I was like, look, guys, I'm nitpicking for negatives.
Yeah, it would all be
you know?
nitpicky, and there's just
Yeah.
no point in doing that.
Yeah.
So
Nope. If I'm gonna point out some negatives from my favorite Star Wars movie, this one gets no exception. I don't care how iconic it is. Since I did not watch the original films, and I don't think any of us have seen the original cuts, I'm gonna talk about the special editions and these damn special effects that make it look like the 70s threw up
Okay,
these VFX shots.
No, those are definitely negatives.
you want to talk about like.
But that's not. That's hard to include in a negative, like because that's not the original stuff.
Those are
you could
edits.
still, no, you could still have the right to talk about it.
I haven't seen the original cut, so
Yeah,
I can only go off of whatever.
Talking about Jabba.
I'm talking
Where he
about.
steps on his tail.
Oh, I'm gonna get to that. That's like number 4. But
Jesus.
yeah. So the special effects, like, it starts when the stormtroopers are riding these things as they're looking for the escape pod stuff. You know what I'm talking about?
The four-legged monster.
The four-legged monsters.
Yeah.
And then when they go into Mos Eisley, by the way, I like how the special effects fill in Mos Eisley like a little more. That's cool. But you see these like big creatures, and there's one creature that walks in front of the camera.
It's so stupid. It takes you out.
It takes you out. It's
I'll
not.
agree with that. I can include that as a negative.
Yeah, it doesn't fit. And Luke Skywalker, you talked about in the beginning how he's like a little whiny. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like, his acting is not very good in the beginning. I'm sorry, but he says this line of dialogue where the uncle goes, I want these 2 droids washed up and cleaned up by the morning. And he goes, aw, but I was going to go to Tashi Station and pick up some power converters. And they're like, what? And you're just like, oh, what a little whiny
to be
guy.
fair, he's only 18 years old.
Hey.
He's a young kid.
Oh.
So even though that was my negative, but that's how a young kid would act. So
what about... Oh, okay. I was about to bring up Jake Lloyd, but never mind. All right.
that's a totally different story.
Yeah.
That's like 10 to 18.
Let's talk about Uncle Owen. He seems like a little bit of a one-note character, yeah?
Definitely.
Every time he talks, it's always Luke. Luke, do this. Luke, I need you to do this. Luke, I need you after the harvest season. Luke, those 2 droids better be cleaned up by tomorrow. Luke, I need your help. Luke, take these 2 droids and clean them up. Luke. I'm like, oh my God. Is there anything else that you... Damn. Do you love your nephew or not? Because all you
We're
do
about to get sniped by some Star Wars fans right now.
You guys are.
That's all you do is like
like,
order him. Luke, do this. I'm like...
I know how to protect myself from them.
I'm like,
The
come
Force
on,
is
Uncle
gonna
Owen.
kill us.
I'm sorry, but I have to treat these films as I do every other Star Wars film. So yeah, Uncle Owen, I thought he was a bit one note, but I mean, whatever. And then,
What is that?
that was Obi-Wan's scream when when he appears out of nowhere and gives that loud.
I don't think he was screaming.
What was that?
I don't think he was screaming.
What was that?
I don't
trying
know.
to-
Maybe it was what were the things that were attacking Luke? Sand people?
Was that them or was
Might have
that
been Sandy.
Obi-Wan? 'Cause
No, it's Obi-Wan. It's him making that noise. It is.
where the hell did that come from?
No, he did it to scare them or like to like make them run away
I
or
wanted
something.
to see that little
But
bit
no,
in the prequel.
That's nitpicking, though. Come on.
I am. That's what I'm doing. Yes, guys. I am nitpicking because
Wait, when he did that noise, you didn't know what it
I
was?
just have to.
It never even crossed my mind. It's
No.
like Obi-Wan. I'm just like, okay,
No,
whatever.
it is Obi-Wan who does
I'm
it.
just like, whatever. It's a sound. Okay.
How was that for a reenactment? Was that good?
That was actually right on.
My next one. All right. So you want to talk about dialogue? Not all of it is perfect. It's not. Like Luke. Obi-Wan tells Luke, "Look at these blasters. Only Imperial stormtroopers are so precise." Really? So I thought that was out of place. Yeah, throwing in Jabba the Hutt, that was a little bit like it felt out of place. All right. Once again, you're throwing in special effects to make the story. You think you're making the story better, but it's not. Okay.
Oh, you know what else they threw in there? Boba Fett was not in that scene originally.
Yeah. All right. So I'm watching this movie on the ultra high definition curve TV from Samsung,
Or
Hey, lucky you,
sponsored
bro.
by them or something?
and it shows what
You want a high five for that?
later.
I think they're paying him to say that.
Oh,
So-
okay,
They're
okay.
endorsing.
I'm watching
sponsorship.
I'm
Yeah.
watching episode 4 on my TV, and it shows Han Solo stepping over Jabba the Hutt's tail, and it looks so fake. I'm sorry. It just
That wasn't included in the original edits.
yeah, but it's just George Lucas. Why would you do that? Like
It's George
just-
Lucas.
Yeah.
Come
So,
on now.
Let's nitpick about the prison scene. How many cameras does that prison in the Death Star, the reception desk need? Like for a minute long, they're just shooting cameras. I'm like, how many cameras are in this thing? again, it's a nitpick, but it's like, wow, those are a lot of cameras, you know. And you know what? That's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I never even thought about that being a negative, or any of those being negatives. I guess I just called it nitpicking. But anything else that we want to add?
I recognize how great this film is. It really is great. You know, it started the whole entire Star Wars series. So, guys, as far as my negatives go, it's nitpicking. Okay, all right. This is still an awesome film. It's amazing, incredible, and all that. It deserves all the praise.
Jacob?
Yeah, one thing me and Gio talked about multiple times on the way here also was that if this movie was just a standalone film by itself, like, it'd be a really great film. Like, it has
Because there's a clear ending.
Yeah, it has a beginning, middle, end, all makes sense, and it all wraps up. The only thing that's left open-ended is Darth Vader still being alive,
Yeah.
which it would have been cool to have been like, it just ends that way, and like that villain's still alive somewhere
Well,
out there.
it kind of could have gone either way. Like maybe.
Oh, maybe he did die.
Yeah.
because
We see a ship kind of spinning.
and they even said those small ships, they can't last out there.
So it could have gone either way.
Yeah, at least it didn't show a ship blow up or anything.
Yes.
So I just think it's cool to think like if this was just a standalone movie by itself, it would have been a great film.
Yeah,
and that's
for sure.
all I got to say. Star Wars trilogy is my favorite movie of all time, but like I go back and forth between A New Hope and Empire, but this is arguably my favorite movie ever. So
Nice. Well, that's going to wrap up our Padawan Podcast today, our reviewing of the films. Before we go, Jacob, where can they find you online, man?
you can find me, Jacob Grandma Bartley, on Twitter at Governor Bartley, and anywhere, Facebook, Instagram, Jacob Bartley, and on this YouTube channel.
What about you, Gio?
You guys can find me on Twitter at Georgia Ramos24. And sorry if I was too harsh on the Star Wars films, but come at me, bro.
You can find me at Twitter, Instagram, at Qui-Gon Jake, our Facebook page at Apocalypse Movies. Make sure to subscribe and like our YouTube channel. We're trying to do big things over here at Apocalypse Movies. And look out next week for our final reviewing of the Star Wars movies a week before The Force Awakens comes out. We're 2 weeks out from tonight,
2
fellas.
weeks. Oh
2 weeks out
goodness.
from tonight.
Oh, my God.
Once again, thank you for joining us. And until next time, may the Force be with you.